as we've heard from the riders, they're getting to know some of the trails, some of the roads that are good to ride on around this particular region. Earlier this year, of course, the UCI opened 2 World Cycling Centre satellites in Luzanci and Bugasera. They're in different landscapes and give athletes and teams a chance to train in environments while taking on the varied routes around here. And riders who come to Kigali always want to ride the Mur de Kigali. And the rider from Macau is still there, and he looked like maybe half an hour ago he was about to be dropped, number 120, Kam Chinpok. Chinpok riding for Macau, 2 years of age, he's the national champion of Macau. He's ridden a lot of races, mainly in China during this season, and the Asian Continental Championships as well. Number 57 is Karpatar. Flying from Mongolia, still there, still riding strongly. Albeit it might be at the back. You have to remember, some of these riders have not ridden in pelotons that are this large or that are going quite this fast. They might have ridden some Asian races that might not be at the level of some of the riders in the front. We're talking about World Tour professional bike riders here. So this is a unique and new experience for a lot of these African riders, and some of them are dealing with it really, really well, and it's good to see that we've seen Binyam Gamai win a medal here before in this championship, but it's good to see a number of other riders from Africa who are dealing with the altitude, the heat, the terrain and the speed that has been set by the riders in this group. Belgium coming to the top of Côte Kigali. I've put a curse on him now, haven't I? Karpatar is going out the back. This is Derek Chevalier from Belize, number 84. Photographers sitting down there on this climb, trying to get the best photos they can get. Didn't know you could get a Haro road bike. Didn't Haro used to be one of the most famous BMX brands in the world? Still Belgium maintain this pace. Hey, who knew that Haro did road bikes? Now that I've seen them, they look nice, don't they? Haro did. They were one of the most famous BMX bikes, of course. Based in San Diego in California. And another South African rider at the back. This might be the same one, it is Warren Millman. He's finding just that tempo on that climb, just a little bit too hot to deal with. Just got to keep hanging on and hoping. This is Kozaris, who was one of the first attackers of the day. He's now abandoned. go his way today. Can Belgium keep this going all day? It's got a few hours of racing to go. I think well over 2 hours, nearly 3 hours of racing left. And it's riders who are prepared to just sit in here. Hamish Mackenzie, for example, number 45 that you can see there, just towards the back. Mackenzie's having a really quiet time, just sitting, waiting. Mackenzie, very experienced. All right for Jaco Alula next season. Third in the Under-23 World Time Trial Championship in 2023. Mackenzie clearly just happy, sit there at the back. He rides at the moment for Haggensburg and Jaco. A team that is was without doubt the best team in the world for spotting young talent. So many of the top riders in the World Tour peloton have ridden for Haggensburg, and now they're the feeder team to Jaco Alula with that combined thoughts and mind and experience of racing. Mackenzie, 21 years of age, whereas number 45, second in the Oceania Continental Championships in 2023. See how Hamish Mackenzie does on today's race. We're still in the very early stages. We're coming up now to around about 60 kilometres. We saw early on Jorge Blas Diaz dropping the flag on the race start. He's the president of the Dominican Cycling Federation, and he was recognised yesterday for his role in the development of cycling at national and regional level in his particular area. It was good to see him being given that award. On the back of the group. Nothing really has changed for quite a few kilometres as we make our way onto the cobbles yet again. And it's still Tim Rex at the front, pushing on the tempo for the team of Belgium, looking good and still dragging this pace out. Behind him is number 12, and that is Aaron Docks. And then clearly riding for one rider and one rider only, and that is Jarno Widar. Going out the back now is Joshua Dyke of South Africa. You just feel like you want to give him a push and keep him on the back of that peloton, don't you? Now we get a bit of a move. One rider trying to keep his pace up alongside the Belgian riders who are really at home on these cobbles. This is the Rwandan rider who is going to be distanced now. Tuizere. Etienne Tuizere is dropped. Just can't stay with the peloton this afternoon now. We're getting into that second phase of the race, where the riders have already covered that first section, and now they get inside that 100k to go shortly. They start to feel like the kilometres are ticking down well. So still the push of the pace. Dutch House is on the right-hand side of this climb. The Rwandan flags are flying as always. Belgium continue to keep the throttle on. Two South African riders trying to keep each other company at the back here. Warren Norman wearing number 78. Give each other a tap, say come on, let's keep in here now. Let's keep this going, that's what teammates are all about. Joshua Dyke maybe coming to his last moment in this peloton. Because look at the way that Belgium are riding. This is proper full-on bike racing. The speed at which Tim Rex is riding these cobble climb this afternoon is very, very impressive. Spain are represented up towards the front. Slovenia there on the left in that green coloured kit. The Italians are still on the wheel of the Belgians in that blue coloured kit. Ecuador represented up towards the front as well. Oh, this is hurting now. Two riders going down the back. Marco Brenner, who's not been able to get back in after that problem. And he's with Henry Magzicht. Brenner asking for the team car again. We come up to complete another lap. This time we'll have 7 laps of racing to go. It's a steady burn, the Under-23 World Championship. The universal language of I'm about to get out the saddle, the flick of both elbows. Gives the rider behind the idea your bike might come back a little bit at you. Just give it a little bit of a gap. Italians having a little chat at the side of the road. Big move by the Eritrean, moving up on the right hand side, just trying to keep himself in contention. Let's take a look at the average speed again this time, see how things have developed. 7 laps of racing now remain in this Under-23 World Road Race Championship. An hour and a half of racing coming up. At the end of this lap, it's Pietro Matteo of Italy leads across the line ahead of Tim Rex and Jasper Scoops. 41.061 kilometres an hour now. Just to give you an idea, there was some riders in the peloton. We've now got 75 riders there. We lost another 4. Lots are being thrown to some fans at the side of the road there, and some more on the other side. Bottles bouncing around as well though, that's a little dangerous. You don't want to hit any bottles, that can bring you down immediately, especially if they're full of water. Here's the replay of the riders completing that lap with 7 laps to go. After this race, we only have 3 titles left to decide. We've got tomorrow's racing. We'll be starting again early tomorrow with various bits of action. The men's elite races on Sunday starts at 9:45 in the morning local time. Tomorrow the women's elite race, which will be 164.6 kilometres, same as today on this local circuit. The women's junior race will be first thing in the morning at 8:20 in the morning, 74 kilometres, 5 times around this circuit. The women's race 11 times around this circuit. I'm hoping the rain stays away. We've said we're moving towards rainy season. Hopefully it will just hold off all the way until Sunday night. The women's elite race is going to be interesting on this circuit. The men's elite road race on Sunday takes us into a massive extension circuit, which actually we drove around a few days ago and took a look. That's going to be some circuit that the ride's going to go on, because I don't remember much in the way of flat roads on that circuit, and it takes them out this big loop, and it takes them over the Muir de Kigali, which is a famous climb, as we see the campaign against genocide museum we talked about it a little while ago with this incredible sculpture. But we go over the Muir de Kigali, which is an incredible climb. We go over Mont Kigali as well, takes us up to 1,771 metres above sea level. So the riders in that men's elite race are going to come around that big circuit. They do 9 laps of the local circuit, then they go back out on a big extension circuit, and they do 6 laps of the local circuit. This is the lineup of the Spanish team. Two Canadian riders at the back now of this string of riders. Suddenly you can go from feeling great to not feeling so good. Well, we saw Harry Hudson earlier on, and we wondered what his next steps are going to be, and they've just been announced. Legal Trek have announced that he's going to be riding for Legal Trek Future Racing. So that dream of becoming a bike rider and having a career as a bike rider, because that's, in his words, what I love doing, riding a bike. As we see a puncture here. Puncture for Moreira of Portugal. And there's nothing he can do, he can't really ride on it. It's got down so quickly. So Harry Hudson has signed for Legal Trek Future Racing, the feeder team of Legal Trek. Got their hands on him straight away. Puncture for this rider. Doing a long wheel change this one. I wonder if these teams are listening to Radio Tour, because I heard that call ages ago. slow wheel change, very slow wheel change. A similar situation that has lasted now for nearly 70 kilometres, maintained by the Belgian squads. This race, 164.6 kilometres, and Belgium, pretty much since the start, have been on the front of the peloton. They brought the breakaway back that started early, and since then they've just ridden a team time trial, predominantly led by T-Rex on the front. This is Kapata of Mongolia. We're inside the magic 100 kilometres to go in this under-23 men's road race championship. Kilometres an hour. We've got 7 laps of racing to go. We're heading towards Kigali Golf for the next time. We're going to get there in 1.6 kilometres, go up Kigali Golf and head towards Kimihurura for the completion of the next lap. I wonder when another nation will start to challenge Belgium for the speed. I would imagine around about 60k to go. They're probably going to let that happen until then. Trisel Alouani is out of the race, the Moroccan rider. He was the sole representative of Morocco. He's now gone. Warren Ullman still on the back. In front of him is number 117, Jonas Walton, who's been there. It looks to me like he's having one of those days where you are just nailed to the road and you're doing everything you can to ride through it. Australian Zach Marriage just dodging around at the back, wearing number 44. Greenwood and Mackenzie are his teammates. There he is, number 44 in the camera. Zach Marriage pulls his way up the outside. He's going well, you can tell that. He just looks comfortable this afternoon. Seems to be just dealing with this race, doing whatever he wants. Zach Marriage has had a stagiaire role in a team. Ryan Munier here of Senegal has abandoned the race. Abandoned here as well with Martin Barter. Talking of Barters with a slightly different accent on them. Will Barter, the American climber, is signed for Tudor Pro Cycling and announced today. 29-year-old Will Barter. 2-year deal with Tudor Pro Cycling now, so he's got some commitment and some long-term stability or longer-term stability. That's good news for Will Barter. He's a talented time trialist, a very good climber, and I can see him getting better and better all the time. Belgium onto the climb again here at Kigali Golf. They must feel good. It must be a nice sight for Jarno Wiedaar to be looking at his entire team on the front, looking after him. Just been able to ride in the wheels, and the team basically taking everything on as we're inside that magic 100 kilometres to go. Still a lot of laps left, but at the moment everything is going their way. They seem to have the entire race under control. South African team tagged to the back of this race. Number 77 on the left-hand side is Blaine Kick. He won the Grand Prix de Tourteron in France, also finished second in the Prix de Frière. A lot of races in France this season, 43 racing days. Will Piat is out, and also out now is Samuel Couture of Canada. He's out of the race as well. See the detail in that skid suit while we take a look at him there. Train riders are going well in this race, aren't they? When we look through the group of riders, they are still well represented. I'm just taking a quick look. Macau still represented, South Africa, Germany, Slovakia, Uzbekistan, USA. Uruguay still got riders in the front group, South Africa, Andorra as well, Eritrea. Eritrea, to me, they've got 1, 2, 3 or 4 riders still in here, Eritrea. There we are, we take a look at them now. We're in number 92. This is one of the riders from Eritrea, Michele. So things are going all right for them this afternoon. Kias Michele and the rest of the Eritrean squad. I saw Daniel Tekelemanot a couple of days ago. He's here, obviously just being with the Eritrean team. Daniel Tekelemanot, who was a pro until, what, 2018? He finished his career with Cofidis. Rode for the likes of Orica Green Edge, he rode for Sabella Testing, for NPNT and Quebec, I mentioned data. He's a winner actually, here in Rwanda. Daniel Tekelemanot, he won the Tour of Rwanda in 2010. Remember him wearing a King of Mountains jersey in, was it the Dauphiné, I think? As Dias Rizbe of Kazakhstan is now out of the race as well. Suddenly we're getting more and more riders coming into the pits. Back of the peloton, Ethiopia still represented here with number 86, Tekla Alameo. It's going well, isn't he? Bear in mind, we are a long way in now to this World Championship. We're 70 kilometres into this race. They've lost Tesfaye, but they've still got 2 riders here in Haile Mariam and Alameo at the back. So you've got to be impressed at the way that these African riders are staying in this under-23 road race championship, because it's not been easy so far. This pace is relentless. It's one of those paces which really does destroy the legs. Last time we went through the end of the lap with nearly 60 kilometres completed, 58.9. And it was Belgium and Italy and Eritrea all at the front of the race. Still no major attacks since we saw the first attacks of the day. Those contained a number of different riders trying to make their move and trying to get involved in the action. We saw Pomorski of Poland, Aleli of UAE, Yilmaz went on the attack, the Ukrainian rider Kozlarez went on the attack as well. As we reach Côte de Kimihurura for the next time, still on the front. What a job this guy is doing. How is he riding like this for the entire time? The traditional drums, I do love the way that they've got all their t-shirts printed and everything is really detailed. Here's a lovely shot across the cobbles to give you an idea of just how rough this surface is. Moment where the legs start to falter from Svetkov of Uzbekistan, number 83, and also number 53, Zalka of the Czech Republic. Well, yesterday in other cycling news, as we see Belgium going to the top, Patrick Lepartien was re-elected as the president of the UCI and announced that the World Championships are coming to 13 cities across 10 different countries worldwide as they announced more dates in World Championships. We saw Federica Venturelli riding well the last few days. She's now just been announced with the UAE development team, for UAE team ADQ. Almost at the top of the cobbles this time. The riders, when they get to the line, will have 6 laps of racing to go. And finally, the Belgian stronghold on the front of this peloton has been exploded by the arrival of Spain and also the team of Italy to try and rip this up a little bit. They're not impressed that letting the Belgians just continue, so now they start their plan. And a big move by the Italians as they start to rip this pace up a little bit now on the cobbled section. Big acceleration. That was a very, very big move. Suddenly, we get a long, long stretch of this pace. So it looked like it was Pietro Matteo who was up the pace now, trying to get rid of the Belgian team off the front. Big explosion of tempo. It looked to me like Hector Alvarez of the team of Lidl Trek on the front. Now a little bit of a move by the Slovakian rider, not prepared now. Big attack of France, so a number of riders want to try and break the will of the Belgian team this time. We come up to the line. This time we're going to have 6 laps of racing to go. Austria now started some accelerations too, so suddenly this little move means that everybody is suddenly sparked into life, and the peloton breaking into two parts. Well over 70 kilometres of racing covered now, nearly 74. We're coming up to almost 2 hours of racing. And now Belgium take control. At the end of this lap, 6 laps of racing now remain. Across the line is RWANDA, who was the Belgian rider at the front. Average speed 41.079, so they've speeded up a little bit on that lap. Everybody taking a big deep breath. The peloton looks like it's coming back together, which would mean we have ended up with 63 riders left, 64 riders left. In fact, one more rider will probably come across, 65 riders. We've lost 10 that time, in the main bulk of the peloton. Just hearing that Hamish Mackenzie's been dropped for Australia, which is a bit of a surprise. And I'm just taking a look, I've just seen Hamish Mackenzie just go past my commentary position, significant margin down on the rest of the peloton. So it looks like Mackenzie is going to be out of the race. So Belgium take over after that little acceleration. Italy wanted to test things out a little bit, by the looks of it. Hector Alvarez, the Spanish rider, the 18-year-old, just trying to inject a little bit more life into the rest of the peloton. He's a very talented bike rider, Hector Alvarez, one of the favourites for this afternoon, rides for the Lidl Track Future Racing Team. Finished third in the Tour of Austria this year. Alvarez has done a lot of racing this season, 40 race days, which for a young rider is a lot. He comes from Benidorm. For the peloton, number 19 here, Gomez. One of those beautiful bikes of the Keepo Kern Farmer. If you've never seen these up close, they are stunning machines. The paint job is beautiful. He's got a contract there till the end of 2028. Started the Tour of Britain, didn't finish the first stage, had a crash or a bit of illness there, I remember. But apart from that, he's had a good season. And if you ever get the chance to go to a race where a Keepo Kern Farmer are actually there and look at their setup, the green of those bikes is quite amazing, actually. Looks very, very special indeed. 87.5 kilometres now remain on this race, 66 kilometres an hour downhill with the Belgian team in control. So the bands continue to play as the riders make their way towards Côte de Kigali Golf for another lap of racing. I can imagine by the end of the afternoon they're pretty tired. They've been playing since 8 o'clock this morning, every time the riders go past. That's what the lips would be like by the end of the day. 28 degrees it is now, 11 km/h winds. The wind's picked up just a little bit. It's been a fast day here for Jasper Schoofs of Belgium. He needs a team car. The team car is coming up. Jasper Schoofs, here comes the Belgian team car. And of course they don't have race radios, so they can only just go back and chat, and that's not so easy to do when the tempo has been as high as it has been all day. It's a bottle. But these riders are so experienced. Jasper Schoofs here rides for the Sugar Quick Step Development team. You can see he's on the specialised bike there as we head towards Côte de Kigali. So things have not really changed since that first attack of the day was brought back, and Belgium have been on the front for what, 60 kilometres I think now, as the crowds get bigger at the side of the road. The sun is out, it's hot, it's getting warmer, and thanks for joining me for a little bit. Michelle Gilmore, how is it out there?
Well, like you said, Anthony, it is really, really hot, and that's why you see the team director cars are giving the athletes ice to put down, try and keep the core temperature lower, just with it's a bit of energy that they might use later in the race. But it's a strange type of heat here. It's just really knocks you about.
Yeah.
And a lot of the athletes have said that it's hard to acclimatise to this heat, even though it might only be 30 degrees. It's a different, heavy type of heat.
It feels really heavy, doesn't it, when you're outside? I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's super hard to breathe as well. Like, obviously, we're at altitude at 1,500 metres, but it seems to have an additional challenge to it with the thickness of the air.
Now, you've been outside for the day. You've had some meetings, as always. You're always busy. And you've been doing what you need to do out and about. But I'm really thankful for you joining us this afternoon for a little bit. How is the atmosphere out there? Because it does look like all the fans are out again, the atmosphere's growing, and it's another great championship day.
Well, in the vicinity of the start-finish, the finish line where we are here, it's nearly impossible to have a conversation with somebody because the drums are going, the atmosphere, it's loud, and it's impossible to have a conversation, or you have to use your voice. Normally I lose my voice when I'm commentating hours and hours, but when you're out and about here and wander around the finish line, if you're trying to talk to somebody, you actually have to yell at them because everybody's so excited, everybody's smiling, happy, dancing. So the atmosphere is absolutely unbelievable out there. I'm really happy to be tuning into this men's under-23 road race for a little bit. They'll be racing 11 laps of this circuit, the same as the elite women will race tomorrow. And me, myself, well, I've been out there on a bike, and it is a tougher course than it looks on TV or on a profile or piece of paper. It's got beautifully smooth roads being resurfaced especially for this championship, and then it's got that very, very, very hard cobble climb coming into the finish. So it's technically a difficult course for these riders, especially over the distance might be a little bit shorter than they do in other races, but here at the World Championships in Rwanda, this will certainly be a super taxing race, which begs the question of Belgium. They have got the clear favourite in the race, and they have dominated the front of the race from the start. The big question is, at this point of the race, with 83 kilometres to go, have they burnt matches too early? That's the only question. But they have, they look pretty relaxed, sitting in a line, and they've had one teammate just do a huge job. So it looks like everything's going to plan, and they look confident coming in as race leaders and taking control of the race. So hope all of their riders manage with the climate here and the distance of the race. So on this part of the circuit, the other day I had to stop and have a breather myself. I sat down and I had a couple of the organising committee come and ask me, "Oh, would you like us to get a doctor?" No, I'm alright, I'm just having a little rest, and I'm waiting for the Australian team to come by. I'm going to say hello to a few friends. And we got chatting, and the locals here are just so enthusiastic about cycling. It's incredible. Everyone you speak to, they're so happy to have the World Championships here, and they want to be helpful. They're actually wearing t-shirts that say, "Please ask me," and it's written right across their back. So it's just to give you a little bit of perspective, if you haven't been able to make it to this year's World Championships, it's probably something we've never experienced before in terms of the organisation. So the UCI here at the World Championships have been very, very particular about riders using these cars as a way back to the peloton, particularly more than in other races. So riders have to be very, very careful if they go back to the team car not to use any slipstream assistance from the followed vehicles. So even though Belgium have been dominating for their race favourite, you can just see the body language that there's not really that many other riders that are not labouring and moving their shoulders and swaying side to side any more than they are, so they look like they have things in control at this point of the race. Oh, an attack coming now from the Italian. Belgium are really, really demonstrating that it's their job to keep this race together. Try and neutralise it with putting a rider on the wheel. And still the team will continue to chase whilst they have a rider in the break.
So Rochelle, two riders making their move now. This is the Italian rider who's been quite making a move at times, Matteo, and scuffs the Belgian. So the Belgian team have been riding on the front so much of today.
Yeah, it's interesting. You can see that, they put a rider to cover an attack. They had a rider protected that was, it's your job, you go and cover that attack. But at the same time, they're still chasing, even though they've got a rider in the breakaway. They're still chasing, so they've put all their cards on Wilda, their number one rider for today.
But the fact that they've been riding all day and they believe in Jarno Wiedaert today, I think it's the right thing to do when we see a team like this who've basically ridden on the front of this peloton for, well, now approaching, 60 odd kilometres, 70 kilometres. And one rider in that team has done the majority of the work. Big attack again as another move starts to happen. Why do you think Belgium want to ride like that all day?
Yeah, I think it's a very, very big question. I had a glimpse of the screen when I was having a meeting with one of the ex-presidents of the UCI in the VIP box. All you could see was blue on the front all the time.
Yeah.
And I did ask the question, I said, do you think we're doing a little bit too much too soon? Because that's the big question. Now they all need to take a breather now, and there's still 80 kilometres left to go in this race, so that is a really big question. The tactic obviously was to keep the pace high to neutralise attacks until Wiedaert's going to make a big move at some point, but just keep him protected, keep the pace high, and keep this race together until he's ready to go.
But we've seen teams do this before. I mean, the biggest example of this happening was Mark Cavendish in his World Championship victory, wasn't it? He was looked after all day, and he managed to win the title. But we've seen it happen in other races where Great Britain tried to control the Olympic Games and then they didn't win anything. And line. So it's a risky strategy to put all your team on the front line.
Yeah, it definitely is, but like you referred to the win of Mark Cavendish, is that it also puts more pressure on you, and it's a good pressure where you say, okay, my teammates, they've done every single thing possible today, all I need to do is finish it off. So it adds more pressure when you've got a complete team like this. You can see Golden is still back to the front, keep the pace line, neutralise those attacks, wait for Weir to make his move. But when your team does everything they're supposed to do, you feel like, okay, I've got that pressure on me, but they've done everything, I've got to finish it off. Perfect.
Yeah, so it's good for him then, and he does look comfortable. He's looked like he's had one problem today, where he had to come back into the race, and he was paced back by Camille Eamon, who brought him back into the race really nicely. But apart from that, he's had a pretty much an armchair ride, although it's quite hard to say he's an armchair ride around this course. Whilst you've been out and about, what are people saying about the course itself? Are you getting any sense of how hard it really is out there?
A lot harder than anybody anticipated before actually coming in. Not even saying riding it, but riding it at race pace over race distance. So if you look at it on paper, or you ride a lap, or you study the science of road surface, all the technicalities and the scientific elements, the climate, all that kind of thing. The thing is that it's just so many different that they can underestimate unless they've done a full race of 164.6 kilometres, 11 laps at race pace, to know if, like you mentioned it earlier, that a lot of riders rely on their power data.
Yes.
But they can't hit those data here because they're at altitude and they've got really thick air to breathe in, and the cobbles are obviously taking a lot out of the riders as well. That's the toughest part of the course. So, yeah, I think the course has not been underestimated.
And now that we've seen the pattern of this racing going on, and tomorrow we'll be together for the women's race, how do you think it's going to impact on the elite races? Because they'll be watching this, won't they? There's a lot of elite riders watching this racing right now, as we see an attack from Poland. How will it impact that women's race tomorrow, potentially? As Pomorski goes off the front. He's been on the attack already today, right at the beginning of the race. Can you see that we'll see just a peloton like this? Can you see attacks happening? How do you see that women's race will be impacted by the course, the terrain, and what we're going to see?
Well, it's interesting because I think now that they've seen it, and I've seen out of myself riders like Anna Bregen doing laps at full race pace behind a motorbike, that there might be a chance that it's a non-eventful race because they're worried about the attrition, and it only takes a split moment to be when the race is over here. It's not easy to get back because even the flat sections, they're not flat. It's very up and down, technical corners, and obviously the two climbs. So it's possible that after what they're watching, that we might just see an attritional race until the last couple of laps.
It looks like that's what's happening in this race as well, where we saw an initial attack, then riders literally came from the front group and got dropped immediately as more riders drop out of the race at this point. They've done, what, 90 kilometres nearly of this World Championship. This is Li Yu. We saw him hanging at the back for a long, long time today. And again, the Belgian team take control and make sure that the tempo is how Jano Wegar wants it. Luc Valenti of Canada was just being distanced. Rochelle, we always say about World Championships, if we haven't talked about you and we haven't seen you, then it's probably a good thing.
Absolutely. Also in a sprint race, because you will, like you said, Wegar had to cover an attack, because if there's a rider that his teammates are not strong enough to cover, he will need to make that move himself. But this is a course where being protected is maybe a little bit less significant than on a long open road. You know, you roll along for 50 kilometres and you can be super protective, because you need to look after yourself on this course as well.
So you have to measure your energy, make sure you're not going over your limits, sit in the right place, not let people open gaps and everything.
Their teammates, I think, are very important for... I've seen the locals out here, always with a football, soccer, playing soccer. A couple of in the lobby, just they're amazing. The young young
in the
children.
lobby.
Yeah.
Really?
The young children, what they can do with a soccer ball, it's just, I sit there memorising this and these.
That is one thing that I think is giving everybody a lot of joy. I noticed Kasia Neviadomo was posting it. She just finds the kids around here incredible, and the way that they run and they play football, and they just love the whole sport element of what goes on in this particular area. 20k an hour, Belgium still in the front. This is not good news here at the back for Slovenia. This is Jakob Marolt, he's gone. One of the Rwandan riders is also now distanced. This is Niankuru. Also the Spanish rider is dropped, and that is Fernandez. We're seeing more and more riders starting to feel the terrain and the tempo. Right on the back of the group though is Ravbar of Slovenia. As we pick him out, and style again of Tadej Pogačar as he goes round that corner. 76.2 kilometres to go.
Belgium might have lost a couple of riders. They're still just keeping their tempo high. They're not trying to drop riders. They're just trying to nullify attacks, just to keep it together. They don't want somebody to sneak a minute or 2 minutes up the road, and they're not really that aware of, everyone's capabilities. So the safest way they want to race is just to keep that pace on the front really high. But if a rider of theirs gets dropped from Belgium, they just have to do their own hard work to get back and start helping again.
We're seeing riders who have mechanicals. It's problematic on this course, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's a very difficult course for team cars to get up very quickly. And the Shimano spares, they do an absolutely fabulous job at the World Championships every year. And here it's a little bit troublesome. If you do have a mechanical, it's not. I haven't seen a fast bike change or wheel change or anything from the mechanical systems.
No, it's all been quite steady. I'm not saying they're doing a bad job. It's just that the time for the cars to go up is difficult. It's really, really tricky. We're coming up now to the end of this lap, and we will have 5 laps of racing to go. We'll see what the average speed is this time. It was 41.079 last time. We had 65 riders left in the main bulk of the peloton. It looks to me like we're going to have less riders this time. Italy now starting to be, I guess, in the ascendancy towards the front. 2 hours and 10 minutes of racing have gone by, and yet to get Belgium lead as we go across the line. Camille Eamon is the rider, followed by Lorenzo Finn. The average speed drops a little bit. 44.002. So Italy now take over. Just taking a look at how many riders are left in the main bulk of the peloton. It looks like we've got 45 riders left now. Michelle, we lost 20 riders on that lap. This is the point of the race where all your power, your fitness, all that training, all that heat, adaptation has made a big difference.
Yeah, Belgium have also lost one of their own riders as well in that pace that they were setting up the cobbles over there and really hurting. So not only themselves, but what happens is they do push the pace over the cobbles and over that climb, and then they sit up like this and it all comes back together again. So but it has an effect, obviously, every time they're hurting so much the legs of the other riders.
There's a real tempo going on now. Still Belgium as they hand bottles out on the front of the race.
It's been an exciting race. All the media and hype and everything, it's all been about Belgium versus Italy, but it's been Belgium who's taken up the responsibility of keeping the pace high and doing all the work. So the Italians might be very, very happy about that, having, protecting their rider in Lorenzo.
So Finn, junior world champion last year, and they've got also Alessandro Borgo. And when we look at that team, Michelle, that Italian team, and we talked about it a little while earlier today, that all their riders, Borgo rides for Bahrain Victorious, Simone Gualdi rides for Intermarché, Pietro Matteo rides from Fiat Lisa bike, and Lorenzo Finn is a world champion last year and is in the Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe rookies. It's not a bad team, is it?
No, no. It's and yeah, it's just really exciting for such a young rider to be in a team with, you know, you're in the development program, you still get the opportunity to race in the under 23. You may have mentioned earlier, while I wasn't here, that this is the first year that professionals in the World Tour and World Tour can't race in the under 23. You have to make that choice if you're going to jump into the professional. If you do go into World Tour or professional, you can't race the under 23 World Championship anymore.
Yeah, and that's why when you look through the list of riders for the first time, you look and think, where are the big names? But they're all development riders. But most of them are starting to move, a lot of the top riders are starting to move into the World Tour next season, so that's their first opportunity in the World Tour. They may well have been invited in to ride a World Tour race or a higher level race, but they can't be in the World Tour team.
Yeah, they can't be signed a contract with the World Tour team. So, yeah, I think I actually think it's first of all, at first I thought it wasn't a great move, but now I think the UCI have done a great job in saying, okay, we have a junior category, we have an under 23 category, and we have an elite category at the World Championship. Now, in the case of Italy's former winner, in the juniors, he now has an opportunity to win that under 23, and then we're going to elite, maybe win an elite championship one day. So I think it's great that we don't get two races very similar, the similar class riders.
Yeah.
We have an under 23 and we have a professional.
I think it is a good situation. I want to talk to you a little bit about heat adaptation, because some of the I've seen some really interesting things on social media of some riders where they've done the heat adaptation training for this championship, and we've seen them wrapped in wearing extra layers and being in saunas and being out training in big white, almost Hamzat suits.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of the riders that have targeted this World Championships have been in heat chambers. I'm not sure if they're scientifically advanced enough to completely acclimatise and provide that air quality, and which is something that a lot of the riders, when they got here, said it's just so hard to breathe because they're in an altitude. They've been training in heat chambers at altitude at this level, but have they been able to experience the same type of air quality, which is what's kind of affecting a lot of the riders?
Yeah, and that's hard to do, isn't it? But why have they suddenly realised that you should be going out in these almost full suits and everything like that? Is that just literally to get your body temperature crazy hot?
Well, I don't think that there's better ways. I think they can do their acclimatisation and heat training than going out on the bike in sumo sauna suits.
But you used to train in a sauna, didn't you? In your career?
I have done.
You have trained in a sauna?
In acclimatisation periods, yes.
Yes. And did it work, or?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, a little bit. Yeah, if we spend 6 hours a day in a heat chamber in the month before a big event, it does have some effect. But, you know, in any sport and business and any aspect of life, there are so many different elements. So many. In cycling, you can do the heat chambers and you can do everything possible, but you can always get here and things are not exactly as you said.
You've done everything you can and then you might get caught out. You just never know. Just depends how you feel on the day. The Uruguay rider, number 60, is towards the back, Perez. So he's still in this group of riders, still riding well so far. We're heading now towards our next point on the horizon, which will be Kigali Golf again. It is stunning out here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't been too far out of Kigali, but Kigali have worked years and years on preparing for this World Championship, and the people and the places are just incredible. It's hard to describe. I actually had a message from Kate Bates, who is a sports cycling commentator, this morning. She asked me, is the atmosphere there as everybody's actually saying it is? Yeah, it supersedes what you read. You just can't comprehend it. I also said this is so amazing. They haven't missed a thing. They've covered everything here in Rwanda, so it's for us, and also probably for the riders and managers and the locals, it's an experience that will never be matched.
No, I agree with you. I think everyone keeps saying that, and I think it is safe to say a lot of people were thinking, oh, what is this going to be like? The organisation here is incredible. The setup's incredible. As I said yesterday, when you normally talk to team managers around a World Championship, they have all sorts of complaints. Because team managers like to complain about something.
Yeah, no, everybody's very, very happy because everything's simple and they've got help everywhere. There's so many people walking around with a T-shirt that says, "Please ask me. If you have a question, ask me." And even if you don't ask the question, someone will come up and say, "Is there anything I can do for you?"
Yeah.
So there are so many people here in Kigali who have, donated their time to making sure everyone, from athletes, managers, staff, commentators, media, everybody is really, really well looked after who is visiting Rwanda. And, they've done their job well because I will be back in Rwanda because I want to meet more people, I want to see a lot more. And they're really, really, really nice people.
Yeah, I agree. And it would be nice to be able to go, because we've been working the entire time as we go past Kigali Golf Course. It'd be nice to go out and play 18 holes of golf or go out into the mountains and see what. Today I talked a little while earlier about Remco saying he thinks he's just done the most beautiful lap of training he's ever done. And just go out and see or ride the gravel tracks or do that sort of thing because it is beautiful. Go and see the gorillas, do that sort of thing out here in Rwanda.
Yeah, when I went to the official merchandising in the fan zone for the UCI, the gorillas, I haven't actually been back to it because I didn't have any money with me, but I've got a lot of friends that would really appreciate the gorilla with the UCI Gold Rainbow jersey on. It's awarded to the medalists when they're on the podium. They will obviously have a specific one that other people don't buy, but it would be, I think it's a really cute little gorilla. But yeah, it would be great to go and experience the gorillas in the wild and do a safari. So yeah, it's been a wonderful time here so far. Belgium, they're all back, so they're all back together, just taking deep breaths. But I just wonder, Anthony, if they're playing a positive card for the Italians. That they're obviously very, very, very confident, and they've still got numbers there. So
I'm wondering whether this is a good tactic or not, and time will tell as to whether it is, because there are riders sitting in the wheels who, yes, they've got to suffer on the cobbles, yes, they've got to suffer on the other climbs, but the rest of the circuit, they're getting towed along. And we've got riders in here we can't forget who are incredible bike riders. Jacob Omrazel, for example, of Slovenia. We've got in here Hector Alvarez of Spain. We've got Yana Wida behind his team. Maxime de Conde of France. He is in with a chance again this afternoon. But one of the riders who we have to mention is Jakob Söderqvist. Haven't seen him all day. Rides for Sweden. Won the time trial the other day. An absolutely incredible bike rider. And I've been keeping an eye on him in his peloton. And he's just sitting in the wheels. He hasn't thought about being anywhere near the front. He's just sat in the midst of the group, follows the wheels, clearly feels good, and potentially could win this again as Belgium rip it up Kigali Golf yet again. And I can't believe this rider on the yellow bike on the left-hand side, Tim Rex, because he has literally been a one-man machine on the front, towing this group of riders along all day. And we're now at what, nearly 100 kilometres, and I think he's ridden about 90, maybe 80k of it on the front himself, which is amazing.
I think he's just slipped back here on fourth wheel, maybe.
Yeah, he's gone now. So it's not a surprise.
Yeah.
I think they've got to buy him dinner tonight.
That's a big, big effort. So yeah, he'll call it a day now.
There he is. Finally, he's dropped. And he, for me, well, I don't know if he's dropped actually.
No, he's still fighting.
He's
That's
like
incredible.
Wout van Aert, isn't he? Is he the next Wout van Aert?
That's incredible.
He is. He refuses to be dropped. Somehow he's staying in the wheels. I don't know how he's done it. He's some bike rider. If there was the most combative rider of the World Championships, he's the one. There he is,
Yeah,
the legs.
we can't do it, and we can't fault him for that. A big 100 kilometres what a powerhouse. He may have went further into the race than they might have given him a goal, try and get to 60 kilometres, and because I don't think the plan would have been, hey, just drive the pace for 100 kilometres.
Yeah, I'm just going to do 100k on the front, that'll do. T-Rex has gone. What a monster effort by him today. That's incredible. An amazing job. Now we're starting to see the pace really start to go up. We're over Kigali Golf for this time, and we're heading now towards Kimihurura, where we are going to head up the cobbles. Oh, now there's a surprise. Soderquist has gone. Well, he hasn't been feeling great. I'm sorry to have mentioned him. I haven't mentioned him all day, and the first time I do, he's gone. The time trial world champion Soderquist is dropped, and more riders are going out the back. Suddenly, look at this, the race has been ripped apart. Eritrea have lost 2 riders out of that group. Also dropped is Gomez of Spain. Also distances Ramos of Spain. And suddenly Eritrea lose their riders in Bahan and Michele. And look, the next group of riders just up the road with another Eritrean in it. The thoughts and hopes of many riders have suddenly been absolutely blitzed by the acceleration of Belgium on that climb. There's a problem for one of the Belgian riders at the back, and Jarno Wiedar is at the front with 2 of his teammates. They look for ice, he decides he doesn't need it. Australia's still represented. Alvaro's on the far right-hand side for Spain. He still looks good. Riders having to keep themselves cool though. We keep seeing Lorenzo Finn, the Italian Rochelle, just pouring water over himself constantly.
Yeah, it's, at this World Championships, I've never ever seen all the team managers and team staff, and also even the Shimano support vehicles who are dedicated to supporting the mechanics. They need to fill their cars with water and ice. The amount of water and ice that people have needed around the hotel and out in the fan zones and stuff, it's just logistically, they just ice water everywhere, ice water, ice water. I've never seen so much in my life, but it's there, they've managed it, because wherever you go, there's always water and ice.
That's good news. You need it, and we've seen them handing them out in those, wrapped in those tights, and just getting set, put down your neck, let the water dribble down your back, keep your core temperature as low as possible. Because once it goes too high, then it's game over. Well, Soderquist was one of the race favourites. He's gone. Jonas Walton, the son of Brian Walton, is also now right at the back of the group. There is a chance it might come back together, but how bad are the legs after being dropped on that section? Because we're going to head our way now to the cobbles, and if the legs are bad right now, you don't have an awful lot of time to recover. That's another characteristic of this course, isn't it? That you, between the 2 climbs, there's only 3 or so kilometres, and there's not much recovery time.
No, definitely a course where you do not have time to just switch off and recover, because the roads are super smooth, that's really, really nice, but there's always a corner coming up, there's always a hill coming up. It happens so quick at race pace that on this circuit there's nowhere you can really just switch off and relax. And you know, so when you get maybe those 10 seconds to take a deep breath, but there's not much more than that.
63.9 kilometres now remain on this under-23 World Championship, won last year by Behrens in Germany ahead of Sverchek and Seydart. Previous winners Axel Laurence, Mark Hirschi, Benoit Cosnefroid, Matti Moric, Lutsenko, Demar, Matthews, Sieghart, Basso, Kermas, and so many others. Riders trying everything they can to just stay in the slipstream as this race continues.
We've seen it also with the women's junior and under-23 races, how it keeps coming back together, but you know that when the pressure's really on that final climb, that there's only a handful of riders that can manage the pace, but then they back off and it all comes back together. And you think, okay, it's back together, there's opportunities for other people, but when it comes to the climbs, they just can't match the power. So it's you know, riders are fighting all the time to get back on, but actually when the race comes down to the finale and the big moves made, there's only really a handful of riders here that can potentially win World Championships on this circuit.
Onto the cobbles again. having looked yesterday, I'm going to give you kudos for this, because yesterday you weren't with me, but you messaged me about an hour into the women's race and told me that the French rider would probably win the race.
Yeah,
Judging by what you've been seeing.
I'd had a chance to put my laptop on and put on the UCI channel and listen to your commentary, which was fabulous. To watch a lap, and I think I was 5 or 6 laps to go, I don't know, and I hadn't studied the junior races because I was here for the elite races, and I was just watching one lap, and this French girl is not breathing. She's not. Everyone else is struggling on the cobbles, and the shoulders are going side to side, and out of the entire peloton. So then I was late for another minute, but I got engrossed in it. I had to watch another lap and another lap because I'm like, she's still not breathing. Every time the hammer goes down, and her teammates were doing everything that they possibly could. So yeah, it was really
about 2 hours from the end.
pretty exciting race.
This is the now stretch as suddenly we see an acceleration by Markus Schrettel of Austria, who goes to the front and starts the pacemaking, and he's got rid of most of the Belgian riders with this acceleration. Jarno Wiedar is now isolated. That's good news for any of the other squads. Also up here is Lorenzo Finn, the Italian rider. The Slovenian rider Jakub Omrazel is here as well, number 29. Big move on the right hand side as the Spanish rider makes his move. This is Hector Alvarez, who rides for the Legal Trek Future Racing Team. And Rochelle, what we were starting to talk about has now happened, because Jarno Wiedar has gone from an entire team with him a few minutes ago to no riders at all.
With just over 60 kilometres to go.
Yeah.
So there's just so many riders in that peloton just sitting in there. Belgium is doing all the work. So they didn't even make the Italians contribute, who are the big favourite in 10. So it was a big question. How is this race tactic going to work for Belgium? Now Finn is all alone, he's sitting up the front, he's driving it, but this is not a good thing.
No, it's not good news for Belgium. Suddenly this race has changed. Alvarez of Spain has gone clear with 61 kilometres to go. This rider is super, super talented. You cannot let him take any more of a distance, and Jarno Wiedar recognises that Alvarez is a rider you cannot give any sort of hope to. So Wiedar now starts to make the moves, because he has to be the rider to respond for the first time. We've only got about 15 riders in that front group. Suddenly the race has completely exploded.
So what's happened is Belgium have used their teammates to keep the pace really, really high throughout this race. However, there's been so many athletes that have just been sitting in and protected and conserving their energy, and all of a sudden in that one split moment, there's no Belgium other than Wiedar who can cover that move. And that's okay at the final of the race, in the final couple of laps. But when you're 60 kilometres out from the finish, if Wiedar has to cover every move himself with no teammates, it's going to make it a very difficult situation for him.
There's going to be some big questions asked if Belgium don't get a medal here. So it's Hector Alvarez. Coming up is the Italian rider, and that is Pietro Matteo, who's been really strong today. Wiedar is not prepared to close the gap on what's happening, and suddenly the hopes of Belgium are looking very much different to what they were a few minutes ago. In fact, less than 10 minutes ago, they were firmly in control. Lorenzo Finn is the Italian rider who jumps across. They've got all three, well, they've got at least 3 of their riders, they've got 4 in this group. This is impressive. At the end of this lap, 2.5 hours of racing have been completed. The riders are coming up with 4 laps to go. The leading rider is Alvarez in the blue of Spain, followed by Schrettel of Austria, with Italy just closing the gap with Lorenzo Finn. Across the line this time, and it is hardly any riders left. Alvarez with an average speed of 41.082 kilometres an hour. The speed goes up, and at the front of the race, there's not that many riders left. There's 14 riders at the front.
This is that was an exciting moment of this race, a very decisive moment of this race. it really does indicate to us that it may have been a mistake, the tactic of the Belgians, and it did play into the hands of the other riders, and Leah Calvington and all the other individual riders that have the potential of winning gold medal here. So I think they have to really, if they do get back together, really recover and reassess their strategy and maybe just not sit on front, rather than sitting on the front, cover these moves.
Alvarez has been caught and has gone on the attack again with 59 kilometres to go. He does not want our Widar and the other riders to get any reinforcements because he's decided to go up the road, and we've only got this small group that's been absolutely shredded behind, who are all looking around and wondering where their teammates are, where their reinforcements are, and Italy, I think, are playing their card. They've asked him for one rider to come up, Lorenzo Finn, and the Austrian rider goes to the front, Schrettel, but Italy have got, what, 3 riders in there? And they're playing the game of, let's make everybody else ride. Widar, to me, I don't know about you, Rochelle, but to me, he doesn't have the legs, because he's finding it hard to shut gaps.
Yeah, he should have been straight on to Alvarez's move, because he knows he's a dangerous rider, but he didn't, or he couldn't, that's the question. Or he just hesitated, was relying on his teammates, then realised, hang on, I need to cover this one, I'm the only one that's strong enough off the team to cover this. And he struggled to do it. So Alvarez was, in my opinion, the peloton are going to start looking at each other, who's going to work. And when someone goes to the front to pick up the pace, they're going to make sure it's hard for the rest of the riders. They're not going to just sit there and pull anymore. So we're going to have a real race on our hands here, because there won't be any more formation. It'll just be like riders trying to take an opportunity to get on the wheel of Alvarez, but Alvarez is in his zone and these riders are going to hesitate and look at each other. So
it's a great opportunity for Alvarez. He's decided he does not want anyone else to come back. He wants to go on the attack. It's a long out. 59k to do that is impressive, but we've seen attacks already today that have gone to the finish, not this far out, but still fairly far out, as Alessandro Borgo goes to the front, and on his wheel goes Jan Huber of Switzerland. Jano Widar is playing chess right now, but every time there's an acceleration, to me, he does not have the snap in his legs anymore. Look how hard he's having to work to shut the last metre.
That's the thing, when you come to a world championship, you have a clear leader, and you have to really put faith in that leader, and nobody can predict how the leader can feel on the day, not even before one moment before the race, it's not until you're actually in the race. So they did have a clear strategy, but if the lead rider for Belgium today being Widar, if he doesn't have the legs on the day, then you can have many different plans, and one may work, one may not. So obviously they realise at this point, okay, that wasn't the best tactic.
They're letting this group of riders come back. They're not too far behind. Widar closes the gap on the Italian rider who goes to the front. Here's the rundown of the chasing group of riders. Lurg of France, Widar, Marti, Henriquez, Gudurbic, Schrettel, Ombrazel, Huber, Lopez, Ramirez of Ecuador has made it into this group as well, which is good news for Ecuador. There's not many riders though in that chasing group. Here's the big peloton coming, well, big, 20 riders maybe a little bit more in the chasing peloton, trying to make the junction to help out their teammates, and there's a lot of riders coming through. Here they are coming back. Soderquist is in here, so he's recovered a little bit. The USA are represented as well. Belgium have got riders in there in Aaron Docks. Sitting on the back of the group is Halvard Dolven. But if there's that sort of acceleration again on this lap, how many of these riders will come back into the race? The average speed is still over 41 kilometres an hour now. 107 kilometres of racing covered on today's under-23 World Championship. The peloton at 29 seconds. Look at the size of the crowd here now. Alvarez is our solo leader. Now we haven't got you here for too much longer. This rider from Spain, Hector Alvarez, he looks impressive on a bike, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he's made a really good move. He only has a 25-second advantage, which means if he's not so strong on the climbs, he may be brought back. But he took a very, very good moment. And he was strong, he was fresh. But a long way out, as we see, only 25 seconds with 55 kilometres to go. It's a big task.
It is a massive task, but he's still got 25 seconds. Maybe riders might come up to him. We know he's an okay climber. He won the mountains classification in Giro del Regione Friuli. He won that back in September. He was also 6th overall in the general classification in that race. He's ridden Burgos, he's ridden the Tour of Austria. He's done well in a number of different disciplines and different races. 18 years of age, 3rd on the stage of the Tour of Austria this season. As we look down then and we come back to him, he rides for Lidl Trek Future Racing. I was saying earlier on that now the junior riders, that's the race that all the agents want to watch, isn't it? How many agents have you seen here this morning?
The sport has changed so much. I mean, with all the development, and you mentioned earlier that teams are signing riders for very long periods of 5 or 6 years now, which didn't happen in the past.
No.
And they're taking riders from a very young age and developing them, which I think is a great thing, because you stay in the same environment, you get the best out of yourself, you don't have to keep moving teams, you know, learning how to work with new staff and all that type of thing. So, yeah, I think it's a great thing that these teams now are signing riders very young in the juniors, and then just they've got a steady base to develop their career over, you know, the next 6 years.
And the agents are signing them at 16 years of age, aren't they?
Yeah, and I mean, it's also for the athlete. It's nice to know that you have that security of not having to find a new team or get the results. It takes that pressure away because you have that contract. You'll have your ups and downs, but yeah, there'll be a lot of scouting going on in the junior and the under-23s. Or it's always been the way in the under-23s, but now they're really closely looking at the juniors.
It's amazing. Soderquist has decided to go on the attack now. The world time trial champion, he's decided to try and go across to Hector Alvarez. He was dropped, and it's probably a good tactic for the heavier riders in this group and the more sort of sprinter time trial riders. Tactically, you have to think about how, like this rider here, Soderquist, how to make best use of the course, because he's not as quick as these punchy climbers on the hills, is he?
No, he's being a bigger rider, it does make it quite tough. It was interesting, this morning I was speaking with Pat McQuaid. He mentioned he can't believe Ben Madison didn't come to the World Championship.
Oh, really?
He thinks Pedersen said that the course was too hard for him, more of a climber's course. I said that I think he could manage it if the distance was a little bit less.
Yeah. Because the men's race is what, 268k or something like that. It's
the amount of climbing accumulated over that amount of time is where they say, okay, it looks like it's a classic style riders race, a heavy classic styles race, but when you put that distance in there, then it becomes more of a kind of climbing, smaller, skinnier type rider.
Yeah. Well, this group of riders coming across 25 seconds. And they're trying to close the gap on Alvarez. Has a little rest, shakes the legs a little bit, settles himself into this left-hander. Make his way onto the next climb. He's now reached Kigali Golf again, so he makes his way onto this rise. He'll reach the top at 51.2 kilometres of racing to go. This is the chase. Decomble of France, Scoufs, Borowski, Dons and Söderqvist. And suddenly Belgium have a different situation with Jasper Scoufs going on the move for Belgium. Decomble is there. Söderqvist can't go with the speed of the Belgian rider. This now puts the pressure back on other teams, doesn't it? Because Wiedar can sit in the wheels.
Yeah, I definitely think, looking back, I mean, they were very confident with their tactic, but maybe looking back, throwing out a few really, really big, strong attacks, putting pressure on other teams and riders to chase may have been a better tactic, but, you know, this course and environment and climate makes this race so unique that it's very, very difficult to just have a set plan.
Suddenly, Alvarez is about to be caught. There's an advanced party about to reach the back wheel of this rider from Spain. He's just working his way up his climb. So it looks like Jasper Scoufs is coming across.
He's pulling a big peloton with him. That's what they don't want to do. They want to put a bit of, when they use their effort, they don't want it to be protecting other riders and resting on the wheel. That's what the Belgians have done today with a lot of confidence. They've been pushing the wind the entire race until this point. From Alvarez, obviously, out there now being caught.
Suddenly the Italians are going backwards. This is not good news, but they've left Lorenzo Finn up there. This rider in front from the USA. Cole Kessler has been dropped as well. Everyone is fighting for survival because suddenly the key riders are making their moves. Munoz is also dropped. For Slovenia, Radbar has dropped as well. Alvarez refuses right now to let everyone come back, and he goes on the attack again. Schrettel of Austria is the rider who's going to have to close it. Lorenzo Finn of Italy is a very clever bike rider. He follows wheels, he surfs, he looks, he just doesn't do any work at all, Lorenzo Finn, that he doesn't have to do. And that's experience of a junior world champion who won solo last year. He's clever, isn't he?
Yeah, we'll only see Finn move when an attack goes from a rider that he thinks the Belgian are not going to bring back, and he's the only one strong enough to jump over to it.
He's doing well so far, and now he's isolated because the rest of his teammates aren't there. But Alvarez continues. He's a bike rider, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's made a very good decision or pre-race tactic to throw out that attack and just don't worry how close they come and yo-yo or who comes over, just ride. He's got a very clear ambition.
He's going to get some company now. Looks like Schrettel might get to him, the Austrian rider. So we'll end up with 2 riders at the head of the race and then a group of, what's that, 20 riders behind. With another little group trying to come across of another 6 riders.
The thing I really love about this circuit, we see the breakaways and all the team tactics and all that goes on, but this circuit, because the cobble climbs so close to the finish, it really does give the strongest rider in the race the opportunity to win. So even, you know, a lucky break that I hesitated, I didn't cover or something like that, it's this course design really does show you the strongest rider on the day. Every rider's fatigued, and it comes down to those last final laps where you see only the strongest that has managed the kilometres of this race, the distance of the race, the day and the climate. We do get to see who is the strongest on the day on this circuit. It's not that we get a lucky winner.
Well, that's, it does show who's the strongest, who's the world champion. Dolven is actually the rider from the helicopter shot. I thought it was the Austrian rider who'd gone across, but Halvor Dolven is the Norwegian. Now that we get up close, we're able to see Dolven, number 32 from Norway, has made his advance to get to Hector Alvarez. As we head towards the end of this lap, these 2 riders combining with just under 49 kilometres. 14 seconds to the chase. This race is far from over. How many more twists and turns are we going to have before we work out who the world champion is going to be? you get the sense, as Rochelle just said, that it is the strong riders who are now at the front. It's the ones who've got the legs, the ones who are feeling good. There's some riders hiding, playing, missing turns, following wheels when they have to.
Yeah, like some people may say, oh, Alvarez made a lucky move, but nobody could. He didn't attack and he got caught, he got brought back, and he attacked again. And we saw riders were fighting to get across the hill, and only one's managed. So we are seeing on this particular circuit the strongest riders take the rainbow jerseys.
17 seconds, Alvarez goes to the front, onto the cobbles again. Top of the cobbles will be 46.4 kilometres from the finish. We'll then have the run into the line, 3 laps to go that time. We've got a bit more of swelling of numbers as we make our way to the cobbles, but the question is how many will make it to the top of the cobbles safely in the group. Cole Kessler at the back, wearing number 71 from the United States of America. Cole Kessler right on the back of the group, the American rider. This is Soderquist. Kessler, he also rides for Lidl Trek Future Racing, so his teammate is the rider from Spain who is out the front. This is the Austrian rider this time. This is Marco Schrettel, who's been good on the cobbles every time. And Poland in the ascendancy as well, as Alvarez kicks his way up this 10% gradient. Being dropped now is Aaron Dox, number 12 from Belgium. Can't see Jana Wiedoff for a little while. And being distanced also is the Slovenian rider, Radvar, on the right-hand side. They've ridden a flat-out race, haven't they? They've not held back at all. It's just been full on all day.
Yeah, it's been a very, very high speed, average speed here for the men's under 23 race. Such a difficult circuit. We've seen the pace, it couldn't be any higher, you know. It's just been, Alvarez was the only one who could actually increase the pace of what the Belgians were setting, and no one was able to match him at that moment. But he's just in the zone now. He may be caught, but my opinion is he'll just keep trying and trying and trying. He's obviously very strong and feeling very good.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Here comes the Polish rider coming across. This might be Gudulovic, who's trying to get there. He's just swung off and come on guys, give me a hand here. But nobody able to lift the pace. Number 12 is dropped, Aaron Dox. We saw that a moment ago. He's still fighting to try and survive. A little group of riders coming across. One Italian rider in Lorenzo Finn, and as you said, Rochelle, Lorenzo Finn won't do any work until he feels like it's necessary, and now he feels like it's necessary because he's advancing at a very high rate. 4 riders coming across, and none of them are Belgian. Yeah, it's a good time for Finn to put his effort in to get across, because while he's hurting himself, he's also hurting the other riders. If he was to do it on a smooth surface or a flat section, he'd be protecting the other riders. But doing it on the cobbles on a steep section, he's hurting the riders as much as he's hurting himself. So it's the best place to put his big effort in to try and close that gap to the 2 leading riders. Good job by him. So Lorenzo Finn, the junior world champion of last year, he pedals his way across to Dolphin and Alvarez. Well, these cobbles are extremely hard. I've been out there on the bike, and you can't actually, the bike's vibrating, you can see there, but I've ridden a lot of cobbles, but trying to keep traction, obviously, on a very steep section. You won't see many riders out of the seat on the cobbles, but every single thing on your bike and your hands and your muscles and your skin and your eyeballs, everything's shaking, and it just takes so much out of the body, and it's such a relief to hit the smooth surface again. So Finn flicking the arms, saying, come on, let's just get together now, pull this back, so we're all back in the race for the gold medal.
So Anthony, this final 500 metres is extremely, extremely tough. It kicks up and you think the finish is there, but those 400, 300 and 200 metre signs, it takes so long for them to come up. But it's a climb. It doesn't look like it, but it is a climb.
Yeah, it's a very hard finish. 6 riders in the lead now. Dolphin, Alvarez, Finn, Gadulovic, Schrettel and Huber. The Ecuadorian rider trying to come across, Mateo Ramirez. And 2 Belgian riders struggling in here now. Vidal's face is showing that this is hurting a lot. 1 Australian rider in no man's land at the back. We come up and we've got 3 laps of racing to go this time. So here's Lorenzo Finn, who just pushes on the pace a little bit more. Can Finn double up and go back to back as he asks the riders to come through? 3 laps of racing to go as we approach 3 hours. The average speed 41.229, so it's speeded up considerably. They've added 0.2 of a kilometre an hour to the speed, and on that course that's a lot. Coming across then Ramirez, Porriquez, De Comble, Marti, also Bock, Schwarzbacher, also in there Loreg. Not too many riders left. Soderquist has kept himself in that group of riders. Through the feed. This time the race, all about water, or is it electrolytes, or is it a mix, or is it carbs still? How do the riders decide with only 3 laps to go?
A lot of the hydration with electrolytes would have been started a few days ago. Is really, really important here to stay hydrated, but there will be no doubt that electrolytes are the #1 priority of hydration throughout this race. So they've got 2 feed zones on the circuit where the riders have an opportunity to take bottles. Spin there just asking for a little bit of help, and he actually looks, to me, he looks very fresh and good.
It does, doesn't he?
He does.
You look at the other riders in here, and there's some faces being pulled. He looks so in control.
I tell you what, the Belgians will be so disappointed that they're not in that group and found themselves all over the place. I had an opportunity to chat at breakfast with Ton Van Dam, who is the president of Belgian cycling. He was quite confident they were going to win the gold medal here in that under-23 men's race today. However, at this point, it looks like they're out of the game.
Well, at the moment, they are out of the game, but I just wonder about that tactic. We've talked about it a lot. It just looked like it was using up all your matches very, very early. And if they'd waited and let the other teams take control, the likes of Tim Rex, who did, such a massive day on the front. If he did that today, to be able to do that much work on the front, in the final of this race, if they kept him, would he have had the legs to right now be at the front with a couple of riders?
That's a big question, Anthony, because what he did was phenomenal. Yeah. To be pulling that high pace on the front for 100 kilometres here is unbelievable. So it is he could have been the strongest. They used him up as a teammate.
Well, you have to make a call. The team managers have to make a call, and clearly they decided that all eyes were on one rider and one rider only. Tactically, hasn't worked yet, but they can still rescue it. They've still got riders in the chase group as Lorenzo Finn goes into the aero tuck and says to Alvarez, come through and work. Schrettel is there. They're fully committed. Also in this group is Jan Huber of Switzerland. Behind him is number 23, Gadulovic. And then it's the Norwegian rider, Dolphin. Where's number 32 in that red jersey with a big blue stripe across the back? Lorenzo Finn goes into the back position, takes another drink. He has been drinking constantly in this race, pouring water over his head, taking a drink, keeping himself